What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Sergeant Moose here, and today, guys, we're going to be doing a video that's a little bit different than what we were used to doing here on the channel. Instead of gameplay, instead of things like that, we're going to be talking about the film Prey. And what I mean by that, guys, we're going to be talking mainly about Adolini'S flintlock and what it means for this film as opposed to the Predator 1718 comic. So I just want to let you guys know this video is going to be heavily spoiler based, so if you didn't see the movie yet, feel free to go watch it, then come back and watch the video. But nonetheless, guys, let's jump straight into it. Alright guys, so just to give a little bit of detail revolving around Adolini'S flintlock, it was first introduced in Predator 2. Of course, most of us have seen that. Mike Harrigan gets it as a reward from the Elder, also known as Greyback, at the end of the film for defeating the City Hunter. That was his reward, was Raphael Delaney's flintlock pistol, and at that time, none of us knew what that was about because there was absolutely no story revolving around Adolini or his pistol. But Jim and John Thomas, who are obviously known as the original writers for Predator, did mention that this was setting up a possible third installment into the franchise to kind of give you a little backstory as to what this flintlock was about and who exactly was Raphael Delaney, pretty much like a prequel like we got with Prey. Alright, so film-wise, that never actually happened. We never actually got a film detailing what exactly was going on with this revolver, why it was included in here, and what was the meaning behind it. That's never happened until kind of now. But one thing we did get was a comic series, and I believe it was Dark Horse's 10th anniversary, I think it was, comic series, and it was Predator 1718. So essentially, there was a captain of a pirate crew named Raphael Delaney. They were stealing loot from a church. He did not agree with that. He kind of changed his mind on it. He wanted to return the loot back to the church. Unfortunately, his crew turned their backs on him. They did not want to return the loot. They said, loot's loot. It doesn't matter where it comes from. And he was determined to get that loot back to church, or he told them, if we don't take it back, I'm no longer your captain. And, well, they accepted that. They accepted that he was no longer their captain because they were not going to return that loot. So naturally, an all-out brawl ensues. There is an altercation with him. He's taking on his entire crew. He's managing to kill quite a few of them. He is a very powerful warrior. And lo and behold, there is a predator lurking nearby. It sees how powerful Adolini is in defeating his crew, so he sees Adolini as a worthy opponent. So, to start things off, Greyback decides to come on down. He decides to challenge Adolini, but not before he takes out Adolini's entire crew with Adolini back to back. They're taking out this crew. And Greyback, sort of, for the time being, befriends Adolini and helps him take care of his business. But unfortunately, there was one of his crew members left, and after the altercation, Adolini's crew member decides to shoot Adolini in the back, fatally wounding him. And in Adolini's dying breath, he decided to give Greyback, also known as the Golden Angel because he had really bright skin, and the crew referred to him as Golden Angel, he gave Greyback his flintlock pistol, which is the one we see in Predator 2. He gives it to the Predator pretty much as a reward for helping him take out this crew and complete his mission, and he simply said, "Take it," as he gave it to him. And then after that, after he died, Greyback proceeded to bury him, and he gave Adolini his sword, mimicking Adolini's words, "Take it." So it was definitely kind of a cool little friendship thing there. They were allies for a bit until Adolini's dying breath. So the comic was really good. It was a really short story, but it was really, really exciting. And that fans took that to heart, including myself. They thought this is the story of Adolini's revolver, and then, 300 years later, Greyback becomes an elder predator, leader of the clan, and he gives it to Danny Glover, or should I say Mike Harrigan? I always keep calling him Danny Glover, but so it kind of added up. It was good for continuity, and it was great. Fans loved it. So then we jump forward 32 years later in real time to the film Prey. And this is where things kind of get a little bit dicey, guys. So in the film Prey, which is set in 1719. Now, mind you guys, Predator 1718 was obviously only a year in setting before the film Prey, so Dan Trachtenberg did his homework. He obviously knew what he was doing, but the interesting thing in this film is Raphael Delaney sort of got retconned out of his comic, and they sort of changed the story regarding how the whole revolver, or should I say flintlock, went down. So instead of him giving it to Greyback in the comics, in Prey, Raphael gives the flintlock to Naru. So there's definitely some big continuity errors, and I know how a lot of people feel about comics, and a lot of people say they're not canon, and we look at Star Wars, we look at Alien, things like that. Clearly we can see that the films don't always coincide with the comics, but here's the interesting thing about this, guys. I feel that Dan Trachtenberg has massive respect for the comics as much as he does for the regular Predator film franchise in general. And I just do not see him scrapping a comic to change the story of the flintlock from Raphael Delaney. So we do know one thing. No matter what, even if Naru got this flintlock from Raphael Delaney, we know that somehow Greyback is going to end up with it again at some point. How he does it, we obviously don't know that yet, but he's going to get it back in his hands. Now this leaves me with the question, guys, call me crazy, but is the Raphael Delaney that gifted Naru his revolver, well, he didn't actually gift it to her, he actually traded her for healing medicine for his severed leg, he gave her the flintlock, is that the same Raphael Delaney that was the captain of the pirate crew in 1718? Now we know the man in the film that gave Naru the flintlock was indeed named Raphael Delaney, because they were consistently calling him, the Frenchmen were calling him Raphael throughout the film. However, if they wouldn't have done that, who's to say that it wasn't just some random person who acquired Delaney's flintlock and gave it to Naru? But we do know that, in fact, this is Raphael Delaney. So where am I going with this, guys? So, if we take a look at Raphael Delaney from the comics, the 1718 comic, now there's not too many illustrations of him, there's quite a few, but looking at this figure in the comics, he appears to be a middle-aged man, probably in his late 40s, early 50s, something like that. He appears to be a middle-aged man. Now, the Raphael Delaney that is in Prey appears to be a man that is possibly in his late 20s, early 30s, and the actor that portrays him in this film is also very young. So the interesting thing that occurs to me, guys, and here's where the crazy part is, what if the Raphael Delaney in Prey was Raphael Delaney's son from Predator 1718? Now, I know it sounds nuts, but we don't actually have an age for the Delaney that's in Predator 1718. But looking at the pictures, he does look like a middle-aged man, and he looks like he could be old enough to be the father of Raphael Delaney in the film Prey. So with that said, guys, whether while Greyback was still on Earth or if he made a journey back to Earth within that next year, what if at some point son Delaney encounters Greyback at some point, and he realizes that Greyback has his father's flintlock and possibly is able to trap or just buy enough time to be able to steal that flintlock from Greyback, because at this point maybe he thinks that Greyback killed his father and took his father's flintlock, and maybe he didn't know that Greyback was actually helping his father. So yeah, guys, I don't know, that's just a crazy observation by me, but if we're going to keep continuity from the comics and try to make it make sense in some way, shape, or form, I feel like this may be one of the best ways for it to do that. And also, this would be an absolutely epic way to prepare for a sequel, to jump into, again, more history of this flintlock and the Predator's path, Greyback's path, to retrieve this flintlock back that he was gifted. And maybe in Prey, this is why the feral predator was set out in the first place, was to not only hunt and hone his hunting skills, but to also retrieve this flintlock from the Frenchman who stole it. So I want to know what you guys think about this, and I think it would make for an excellent sequel. We could see Greyback take on Naru, both who are now more experienced hunters, and I think it would just make for an epic fight and an effort for him to retrieve back the flintlock, because now it's in her hands. So she has the blood on her hands, and maybe he thinks that she's the one that stole it. Of course, she gave it to her father, but the flintlock nonetheless is in her hands, so she will be the target. And of course, we did see in the ending credits of Prey that there were 3 ships coming in, so we know that it's not over. Their tribe is going to be attacked again, and can it be over this flintlock pistol? And to me, guys, in my mind, this all adds up to make the perfect story, and it keeps continuity with the comics, and it keeps that comic canon in this film. So again, guys, my observation, the way I'm seeing this, is possibly Raphael Delaney from Predator 1718 comic is the father of Raphael Delaney in the film Prey, or should I say Raphael Delaney Jr., possibly, in the film Prey. And to me, it just makes for an excellent story. Maybe Raphael Delaney doesn't know he's being pursued for the flintlock back, and he gifts it to Naru in the same way that his father gifted it to Greyback. And he also did utter the same words in the film Take It. So I don't know, guys. That's just one of my crazy observations that I have for this film. I was trying to think of any possible way that we could make this add up with Predator 1718 and the comics. And I really want to know what you guys think about this down below. If you think I'm just crazy talking here, or maybe they just definitely retconned it, scrapped the comic, whatever. I just cannot see, with Dan Trachtenberg and his passion for this series and the franchise, I can't see him scrapping the comic, especially when he took something from the comic to put into his film. And of course Predator 2 as well. But he did make the film exactly 1 year after the setting in the comic, which was very, very interesting to me. So he decided to make it 1 year after the events of what went down with Greyback and Adolini Sr. So with that said, guys, I'm not going to go too much further in here. We're already looking at like 20 minutes, but I really wanted to get this off my chest, man. Myself, the Nomad Clan, Voodoo First Lady, and also 626 Drums, we were all kind of talking about it earlier, making our own observations, and we all kind of agreed that maybe this could be one of the possibilities. And the cool thing is Prey could have really thrown us off there with Raphael Delaney, making us think that they definitely retconned this comic when they indeed may not have done that. So with that said, guys, I want to know what you guys think about this video. Of course, we may never know. We're definitely not going to know from either Delaney, because they are definitely both now dead. But at some point, I'm thinking maybe in the next film, if this does come to fruition, we'll find out from, Frenchman, or somebody's going to tell us the story as to how all of this went down. But with that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, and we'll see you on the next one, man. Take care.